Zimbabwe had an option not to fight a war for South Africa's freedom by simply adhering to what the apartheid government had said.
Yeah.
Come, let's form the constellation of Southern African states. Don't worry about black people in South Africa. I recognize the Bantustans. Have a diplomat of yours in our country, and we will live like separate states and accept our separate development in our country. Mugabe refused that.
By the way, I love
SADC
Mugabe.
refused
I
that.
just need people to know. I'm one of the people that largely, not fully, I don't support anyone fully. I'm one of the people that largely supported Mugabe. And the history of Zimbabwe is one of the most beautiful stories for people.
But if you don't know that Zimbabwe went to war for South Africa, then
That's
you
not what
don't.
I'm saying.
Then you don't know the
But that's
history
not
of.
what I'm saying.
No, hold on.
No,
you
see, now
said
you're
you
putting words in my
don't. You
mouth.
said you
Rutendo,
don't
I'm
care.
trying to
You
support
said you
you,
don't know and you don't
But if
care.
you want to spin propaganda on me here,
I'm not
live,
spinning propaganda.
I can't support anything.
I don't
you're
want you
saying.
to support. I want you to know the history.
Yes, but
so you
you're
said you
claiming
didn't
that
know.
I said.
You said you didn't know that Zimbabwe went to war
and
for
it's
South.
okay, but I
Very
wasn't
good.
picking a side.
So it's important for me to let you know that Zimbabwe fought wars.
And I said, in my personal opinion, the example you used to me is an opinion.
But we're not discussing opinion. We're discussing fact.
No, we're not.
So is it a fact that
We're not
Zimbabwe?
discussing fact.
Is it a fact
We're
that
not
Zimbabwe
discussing
fought
fact.
a war for South Africa?
We're not
Yes
discussing
or no?
fact.
It is yes.
We're not discussing a fact.
Why not? Why shouldn't we discuss a fact?
It's not a fact just because you say it's a fact.
No, it's written. You can
What's
you
written?
can prove.
That
You can
Mugabe
prove.
said we're going to war for
You
South
can
Africa.
no. We went to war for South Africa. We didn't say.
Rutendo.
There's a difference between saying and doing.
I'm trying to let you speak and say your thing, and now when you make it about me, and it's not about
my
me.
problem. My problem
it's
is.
unnecessary.
My problem is. We're here to set the record straight. And
No, I understand that.
you want to run away from an opportunity to get the record put straight to you.
I'm not going to agree
You
to
want to
something
run.
I
I don't
know.
want you to agree. I want you to
That's
know
okay.
the facts.
And you're allowed to say it.
That's right. So
But don't
what?
expect me to
So
say
what?
yes.
What you should be doing?
Just let me keep quiet.
I'm not asking you to say yes. I'm asking you to let me say the facts. You don't want me to say the facts. And the question is, why wouldn't you want me to say the facts? Why do you want us to hide the fact that a war was fought to South Africa by other countries other than South Africa? Why do you resist to hear that, then ask why the ANC has not created an impression or created the truth to make people understand why we are where we are? The ANC understands that when they went into other people's countries, they didn't have visas. They know that they were allowed into these countries. They know that other countries got attacked by the Boers for that. They know that these countries had to end up defending themselves because they would not chase the ANC out of their borders. And they got attacked by the Boers for that. Why is this fact being hidden? Why are we stopped from saying this on mainstream South African TV? And now I'm on an alternative media. I'm also feeling like I'm being muzzled from saying that fact. Why? Because that's what causes our differences. That's what causes our fights. Because our people seem to believe that no country helped South Africa to get its independence. Yet there are countries that lost over 600,000 lives in Southern Africa fighting wars against the Boers for independence and for harboring so-called illegal immigrants who came into the countries without papers, who came into the countries with firearms, and who came into the countries and established bases so that they could start attacking back in South Africa.
Are you willing to listen to the people of South Africa and their wishes and thoughts?
Yes,
Or
I am.
does it not matter?
I am willing to listen to the people of South Africa so long as their arguments are reasonable. So let me tell you what I mean by that. You have a lot of people here who you are also beginning to say in South Africa that 30% matric passes. People who know nothing. People who don't know what they studied at school. People who pass with 30%. They are not allowed to have an opinion on medicine. They're not allowed to have an opinion on accounting. They're not allowed to have an opinion on important matters, but for some reason it's okay for them to have an opinion on diplomatic relations or geopolitical affairs. I don't think that's fair because they don't know enough to argue, which is what we're trying to say here, that it cannot be that you can argue that there was no war for South Africa and Zimbabwe didn't fight for South Africa because I heard Mugabe saying it. But what are the facts? The facts must be put on the table. And those without the facts should listen to those with the facts. And those without the facts shouldn't have an opinion based on ignorance. That's what I believe. So
if a black South African has an opinion that doesn't meet your criteria, you don't want to listen to them. Is what
if a person does not have a reasonable argument,
forget the reasonable argument. It's a black South African. They live here.
Why should we forget the reasonable argument? Yet that is the test even in a court.
My question to you was do you care about the opinion of ordinary black South Africans?
I answered the question, but you don't care to listen to what I'm saying.
No, I heard your answer, and
you didn't hear my answer. You didn't hear my answer. The test of a reasonable person is what is even used in court. We
I'm not asking about court.
We cannot have a discussion and a debate and listen to people who are unreasonable.
So that's why I asked the second
So
question.
I will listen
You're saying if they don't meet your criteria, you don't care.
If they're not reasonable, I don't
According
care.
to
It's
you.
not my criteria. It is an established common criteria.
The reason I say it has to be your criteria is because the 30%ers and even below, they get to vote in this country.
Yeah.
They can apply for tenders in this country.
That's right.
They can conduct business. So
That's
even
right.
in a court of law, your opinion matters.
No, in a court of law, they still have to give a reasonable argument.
No, I'm saying you mentioned 30%.
Yeah.
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 And ignorance and whatever.
Yes. That was an example, by the way.
No, that's okay.
I didn't say that's the
That's
qualifying
okay. And that's why
criteria.
I'm asking you. It seems like you have a criteria for Black South Africans that you want to listen to.
I've got a criteria for any human being that wants to put an argument that I must listen to, that it must be a reasonable argument.
So the ordinary Black South African...
And the person must know what they're talking about.
Sure.
Yeah.